Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss the fallout from last night. We'll talk a little bit about Ronaldo, also Ten Hag's major frustration with two Manchester United players from last night. I think we know who they are. We'll be delving into that. He clearly did draw a line in the sand and hauled them off at half time, and you can understand that frustration. And you've got to talk about what is there a way back now for Malacia and Sancho and how long they'll be on the sidelines. Talking about the sidelines, quite a significant update coming up on the Harry Maguire situation. He won't be back anytime soon. Hopefully Varane will. And Paul Scholes talking about his favoured front three for Manchester United. It's an interesting one. I don't agree with it, but it's definitely an interesting one to delve into. Lots to get into. And of course, the headline from Nello there, Speed versus Goldbridge at FIFA 23 was amazing last night. Yes, it was. The Manchester United trip to Cyprus may have not been totally fulfilling, but there was a classic game last night. I came, I saw, I conquered. That's all I will say. Next on my list for Goldbridge ball annihilation, we'll have to wait and see. But look, let's get into it. We're going to talk about last night. And I think that Ten Hag, numerous times last night, shaking his head on the sidelines, not looking very happy, very, very frustrated. And I think there's one bit from, sometimes in a football match, you see something, you think that's going to be more than this game. That's going to resonate and be remembered for a little bit of while. I saw it 3 or 4 times last night. I'm sure you saw it as well. The first goal we conceded last night is just, it's one of those ones that when you're on the plane back today, when you're in your training session, when you're preparing for the weekend, that goal conceded yesterday will massively benefit Rashford and Shaw and is going to massively drop Sancho and Malacia down the list. As a manager at any level, I almost feel sorry for Sancho and Malacia, because every time Ten Hag sees that, he is going to go, I can't trust those players at the moment. I can't trust those players in the big moments at the moment. What was wrong with it? Well, we digested it last night, but it certainly led to a very frustrated Erik Ten Hag, who we're still learning about. We're still learning about Erik Ten Hag. Does he make half-time substitutions? Does he wait until he's predetermined things? I think he's a manager that we've seen already will decide he's going to play someone for an hour and then he's going to take them off. Yesterday, I don't think he was planning to take Malacia or Sancho off at half-time. That was completely to do with their performance in the first half. Let's remind ourselves what happened, because I think this is a big, big problem for Jadon Sancho. I think it's a problem for Malacia, but I think it's a big, big problem for Jadon Sancho. It's a conversation I've been trying to avoid because I like the player. We've had Ben Foster on the show. He's been, a little bit uncertain about Sancho, and I know some of you have been as well. Morning, says Harith. Hope you have a great day. You too, well as well, pal. Thank you very much. So basically, it's 0-0. Free kick comes to Sancho on the left, on the edge of the box. Bruno makes the overlap. He can whip a cross in. He ignores both to pass it back to Malacia, who is the last man on his own. Malacia receives the ball. He has 3 Cypriot players running at him. He can either boot it out of play, he can try and turn around and boot it back to De Gea. He doesn't. He falls on top of the ball. He basically freezes. They win the ball. Sancho's in the picture. Malacia gets up and starts running. Sancho sort of drops his head and jogs, and in the seconds after that, 4 or 5 red shirts sprint past Sancho, and as the camera moves away, some of those red shirts stay in the picture. Sancho disappears. That few seconds, doesn't matter whether you're Wayne Rooney, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Casemiro, doesn't matter who you are, how good you are, that does you no favours because it's caught in 4K. It's absolutely, you have given the ball away and you aren't running as hard as people who had nothing to do with it. It just looks bad. Have you broken your leg? Have you pulled a hamstring? Is there a medicinal reason why you can't sprint back? Of course there isn't. And as I say, the problem with that for Sancho is he looks like he doesn't put the effort in like everybody else did. And he was the contributor to it. Those sort of incidents, they do you damage. They do you damage. And it did do massive damage because Ten Hag will have seen that. And as a manager, you're furious. And you don't care who the player is. You are furious. You are like, you've contributed to that mistake. Other players who've got nothing to do with it are busting a gut to get back. And you're putting your head down and jogging. It's the wrong attitude for a Manchester United player. I would liken it to what we were talking about at the weekend. If that's Kevin De Bruyne, for Man City, do you think he does a little jog whilst Gundogan and Bernardo Silva sprint back? He sprints back. And there is that. I think yesterday, and I hate the fact that we have to analyse Malacia and Sancho because it could have been anybody over the last few weeks, let's be honest. I'm not surprised it was Sancho, but it wouldn't have surprised me if it had been a different player. Is that not the problem at Manchester United? That attitude problem, that work ethic problem, that when something goes wrong, their head drops and they jog. It's a metaphor for Manchester United's bigger problems. We go 1-0 down, the head drops and we drop off. We give the ball away like that, the head drops and we jog. Some people sprint, but we're a team. And Malacia as well, you know, he did make a mistake. But Ten Hag, I have to applaud it. He reacted very, very quickly at half-time. He was clearly frustrated, and Rashford came on and scored 2 goals. So for me, Jadon Sancho's now in the similar position to Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Scott McTominay. You can get back into the team. Luke Shaw's waited for his chance, and I think he's going to get it. You can get back into the team, but you're probably now going to spend some time on the bench. And you can't argue with that. And I applaud it because I think under Solskjaer, it would be different. Those players who make mistakes still start the next game. Ten Hag, he showed it after Brentford. He changed his back four and he showed it at half-time yesterday. I think he gave some people a chance after the Manchester derby, Malacia. They've let him down. That's it now. Now I am going to make a change. And you've got to applaud that as a manager. There's a lot of things that still need to be done. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. I think the Everton game is going to be very different. But his frustration publicly came out yesterday with Ten Hag. There was numerous examples on the bench. And obviously those substitutions at half-time, both those 2 players contributed to that goal. Hi, Mark. Will you play more with speed? It's so hilarious to watch you. If you want another game and another beating, I'll do it easy. Hi, Mark. Disappointed about the team's quality, but enthusiastic because we've got the right manager in the job, says Kaiser. And who was more furious, Speed or Ten Hag? Lapses in concentration are detrimental at this level, says Lil. I'm actually quite positive this morning, you know. I think a lot of the things that we were moaning about last night, they were dealt with. I thought the goal, we've just analysed it. He took them off at half-time. He made an example of them. He publicly doesn't need to come out after the game and say I was furious with Sancho and Malacia because he publicly did it. Actions speak louder than words. Half-time, hold them off. You're off. We all know what they did and they're off. But I also think sometimes there's got to be a fall guy, hasn't there? Sometimes there's got to be a sacrificial lamb. And I think Sancho and Malacia are those 2 players because what happened? Ten Hag took them off at half-time. He let everybody know he blamed them. Doesn't need to say it. We know. He took them off. Everybody knows. And when we think as fans, what did they do wrong? We go back to the goal and we see it and we go, that's the problem. And every United player and every United fan knows Ten Hag is pissed off because of how that goal went in. A goal can be conceded. You can make a mistake and a manager will go, you're a good lad. You do lots of good stuff for me. You've made a mistake. We move on. A goal can be conceded and a manager can go, I'm not having that in my team. You can make mistakes, but you cannot do that. And as I said, symbolically, Ten Hag is a better manager than all of us. Ten Hag is a better tactician than all of us. We see the same things, but he will see things we don't see. And the things we see, he will see. And when he sees that lack of effort to run back from Sancho, and when he sees Malacia just freezing, he sees it and he'll deal with it. And it sends a big message because it basically says to all United fans, and then more importantly, all United players, you don't put the effort in a shirt for me, you're out. I ain't carrying favourites, I ain't carrying talent. You put the effort in or you get out. And I think that's a very big lesson because what will hopefully happen now in the case of Jadon Sancho is the next time he gets his chance, the head won't drop and he won't jog next time. Everyone will be watching it. And it's a harsh lesson to learn. And it's a shame that they have to learn it, but you do have to learn it. And I think Sancho hopefully will be a better player for this. I've defended Sancho. I like Sancho, but I have to put my hands up and say, look, there is a problem with his work ethic. It's not on the pitch. His work ethic is not there. For some reason, it's not there, and it will be, and he's got to work on it. Mark, Shaw looks more composed. I think he'll start on Sunday, says Mikael Roach. Yeah, I do think that. Bruno needs dropping, says Emperor. Well, we'll build up for that. We've got the Friday night show tonight. Have a drink, have a relax, Q&A. Can't wait. Friday night, 8 o'clock show. Love it. But I want to just dissect a few things from yesterday as well. I don't know whether you picked up on these things, but two things I want to talk about. Obviously, frustration from Ten Hag. He was very frustrated with those two players. He spoke about Ronaldo, and he was very happy with Ronaldo's performance. And he said, basically it was just one of those nights, but he was involved in a lot of things, created a lot of chances, etc. We're going to talk about Ronaldo in January in a minute, but we're talking about last night. I gave Ronaldo a 5 because he should have scored goals, and he missed some bad chances. But his overall game was a lot better than it has been for a while. Obviously, we're playing a Cypriot pub team in many people's eyes, but Ronaldo did all right last night. I think it's been overplayed because it's Ronaldo. I said on Twitter last night, and I left it at this, and I'll probably leave it at this morning, apart from the story in ESPN. You cannot have a grown-up football chat about Cristiano Ronaldo, because on one extreme you've got people who just don't like him, and on the other extreme you've got people who can't see any wrong. So you cannot have a good football conversation about Cristiano Ronaldo because of those things banging up against each other. And I see it in our chat, and I see it worse on Twitter. It's either you love Ronaldo or you hate Ronaldo, and therefore you can't have a logical, constructive conversation. I was happy with his performance last night. I wouldn't start him against Everton. I still think he'll prove people wrong in some capacity over the next few months, whether it's in a United shirt, a Portuguese shirt, or a different shirt. But of more interest to me, do you think the Glazers will stand by Ten Hag, says Melwyn? I think they will try to. Whether they can back Ten Hag is a different question. I was looking at some of the player ratings that were given out by some of the media. I always find these quite interesting because we do our own player ratings, and I think they're always very accurate. So I was looking at some of the player ratings yesterday, and 2 stood out for me. 3, actually. Casemiro, a lot of people gave him an average and said he didn't really stand out. And I'm like, this is so dangerous because people don't understand football and they just go off on their own personal agenda. Casemiro didn't really stand out. One journalist even said he's probably in jeopardy of starting against Everton because he didn't stand out. And I'm like, whoa. Do you know football? What would Casemiro standing out be then, really? Right? Nothing to do with it. He wasn't on the pitch for one goal. The goal we conceded, he was up for the corner. And as we all know, it was on Sancho and Malacia. You can't blame Lindelof, Martinez, Delot, Casemiro because we conceded the first goal because they're all up for the corner. That's not their issue. They can't do anything about that. They certainly sprinted back. He had over 90 passes. All right, it's a Cypriot team, but he got on the ball a lot. He shielded the back four. He got the ball and fed the ball numerous times to Bruno, Eriksen, fullbacks, Anthony and Sancho. What do you mean he didn't stand out? If Casemiro played like that against Everton on Sunday and we won 4-0, people would say he was brilliant. But he wouldn't have had anything to do with any of the 4 goals. If you don't know how to read football, shut up. A centre defensive midfielder will not stand out against a Cypriot team like that. That performance that Casemiro put in last night could have been a man of the match performance against Man City. Because the job's the same. Shield the back four, get the ball, feed it to the attackers. And he did that. So when you say Casemiro didn't stand out, do you know the job he does? Do you know what he is? He isn't going to skin 3 or 4 players and whack it in the top corner. He's not going to play through balls for Marcus Rashford. He is there to allow Eriksen and Bruno to go forward with confidence and protect the back four, take the ball off the back four and feed the ball to Bruno and Eriksen. And he did it. I can't remember many passes strayed. I can't remember many tackles missed. I cannot understand people who don't understand what a CDM is meant to be. Maybe it's because we haven't had one for years, but he didn't stand out. What do you want him to start doing? Breakdancing in the centre circle, moonwalk. Like, he did his job as a CDM. I wouldn't have given him. I would have given him an average 6. I agree, because what more can he do against a team like that? But I'll guarantee you he'll start on Sunday, because if he doesn't start on Sunday, there's something sinister going on, because he did nothing wrong last night. And actually, Ten Hag subbed him early to keep him fresh for Sunday. So I'll be stunned if he doesn't start on Sunday, because he did exactly the job you would want him to do if you know what a CDM is. And his big test is Everton on Sunday. Their second player is Martial. Lots of people said, some in the media again, Martial should have started the game. Oh my God. Martial should have started the game. Why do you think Martial didn't start the game? I said it before the game. I'm not surprised Martial's not starting the game because he might be starting against Everton, and also he's been injured for about 2 months. So you've got to be careful with him, and we know Ten Hag is careful. We saw it in pre-season. New player comes in, you play for an hour, you come off, and you build your fitness. Not surprised at all. Some journalists and fans are surprised Martial didn't start and he should have started. Ten Hag, after the game, speaks about Martial. What does he say about Martial after the game? He says, we need to settle him back into the team. We've got to be careful with the minutes that we give. So why are people surprised Martial's not starting when the manager, who knows the player better than all of us, said we need to be careful with him and settle him back in? I guarantee if we'd started him yesterday and he pulled his hamstring, people would have gone, why are we starting him? So sometimes I think we go searching for things that just aren't there. And also I saw some people criticising Anthony as well. I don't agree with that at all. Apparently he was showboating. Apparently he wasn't that good. Apparently he was below average. I really liked Anthony's performance last night, considering this is only, his 4th game for Man United, maybe 5th. He's only adjusting still. I think he's getting better and better by the game. I was very happy with Anthony last night. Of course, some things could have been better, but I was quite happy with Anthony last night. So yeah, I'm quite intrigued by how some people read the situation. As I said, if you don't understand what Casemiro's job is, why pass judgment? Anyway, look, it's over. Last night's done. I think that we basically had our Brentford last night. We've seen 2 players come out of that first team that won't be starting on Sunday. Definitely 2, maybe 3. Malacia and Sancho, I'm pretty sure, will not start against Everton. And I don't think you can argue why. Because you know what? In any team, whether it's Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Brentford, if players underperform, you've got to take them out of the team. And this is a refreshing change for Manchester United fans, because we haven't seen this, have we? For the last 3 years under Solskjaer, you play badly, you play next week. You play badly, you play next week. Eric Bailly comes in, man of the match, you're out the team because Maguire's fit now. We've seen that favouritism for 3 years. It's a new, logical, refreshing change at United that we see that mistake by Sancho and Malacia, and they're subbed off, and then Shaw and Rashford come on and play well, and they will start on Sunday. We see against Brentford a defence that gets absolutely embarrassed. He takes Maguire and Shaw out of the team and he brings Malacia and Varane in. We see McTominay terrible in the Manchester derby. You're out, it's Casemiro's chance. And that's the way you want this to be. And I think we're waking up to that. And finally, for some of us, it's been so long since we've seen it, it's almost like, wow, this is great. It's new. But it's the way it should be. It's the way the club should have been run. If you don't perform in a Man United shirt, you're out the team. And you have to wait for your chance again. And your chance will come. All this nonsense about Maguire being finished or Shaw being finished. Luke Shaw's back as the first choice left back on Sunday. 3 weeks ago, he's done. Let's get rid of him. It's too reactionary. Maguire, what if Martinez starts playing really bad and it ends up being Maguire and Varane in January? You don't know. The chance will come. The thing is, can you take your chance when it comes along? That's what these bench players or players that get dropped. If I'm Jadon Sancho, I'm disappointed, but I'm looking at why it's happened. You've got to look at that clip, Jadon, and go, people are running past you and your head drops. That's a bad look. Easy to solve it. When you're on a football pitch with a Man United shirt on, there is no jog, there is no head drop. It's 90 minutes of attention to detail and effort. And then with your talent, you'll become a better player for it. There'll be a way back for Sancho, 100%. We don't have many attackers. Hi, Mark. Much love from Sydney. Very happy with Ten Hag's subs yesterday. Shows the players that no one's safe. Exactly, Adrian. Well articulated. Zane says, Mark, did you see our masterpiece last night? We are on for the Europa. It's embarrassing we lost to United, says Zane. I didn't. I don't know what Arsenal's result was last night, because straight after United's result, I was beating speed at FIFA. And Charlie says, it's become very clear our best forward line is Rashford, Martial and Anthony. I would be open to seeing Sancho at number 10, says Charlie. I think with Jadon Sancho, let's just work, it's a bit like Maguire now. Maguire gets a lot of shit, he gets a lot of focus, and, now that focus needs to be on Sancho and Malacia. And not in a toxic way. They need to go and work hard. I don't want to see Sancho starting at number 10 at the moment. I want Sancho out of the team for a bit, analysing where it's gone wrong and putting the effort in. You've got to, when you get dropped, you don't come back in the next game. He's got to be out of the team now until next Thursday when we play the Cypriots at Old Trafford. And then he's got to show it as a different Jadon Sancho. It's just a rebuild. It's a rebuild, and we are working through a process. Sorry for asking. I think criticism of Sancho is a bit harsh. I think he can still be good for us, as Mikael. Well, I think I've just said that, Mikael. And if you're seeing over-the-top criticism of Sancho, I agree with you. But criticism on his effort last night, 100%. But as I say, I still believe he's a good player. I really like the player. And, he's just got to get his head down and work hard. I mean, it's so easy. It's not easy to have the talent that a Jadon Sancho's got, or a Marcus Rashford, or an Anthony Martial. It's not hard to have that. It's very hard to have that talent that they've got. They're already ahead of most of the world with the talent they've got. What's easy is to work hard. A Preston North End winger can work hard. A pub winger can work hard. I can work hard. If you play me in a game tomorrow, I can work hard. I'll probably pass out because I'm not fit, but I'll run till I pass out. That's the thing that's disappointing for Ten Hag. That's the thing that's disappointing for you. When you see a Manchester United player with the talent that they've got, but they can't work as hard as a Sunday League player, that's really disappointing, and you deserve to be dropped. But it's an easy fix. Because if a Sunday League player can work hard, Jadon Sancho can work hard, Marcus Rashford can work hard, Bruno Fernandes can work hard. So it's an easy fix for Sancho. He's just got to get that work ethic back in, because he's got the talent, and he will be back, and I want him to be back, and we all want him to be back. 2 super subs by Ten Hag, says Martin. Great to see him be much quicker to react. Yeah, and that reaction speed's really, really, really important. Just going to the front three, obviously we'll be doing our Everton preview. We've got the press conference at lunchtime, Friday night show tonight, so I'll probably put the preview up tomorrow morning, to be honest with you, because it's a Sunday night game. But no surprises and no spoilers. My front three for the game against Everton would be Anthony on the right, Martial through the middle, and Rashford off the left. I think it picks itself. I liked Ronaldo's performance last night, but is he performing better than Martial? No. So, again, we've just spent 5 minutes talking about you've got to pick your best players who are performing well. So it's a bit unlucky for Ronaldo, because I think if he'd scored the 2 goals he should have scored last night, you might make an argument to start him. But on the other hand, I really hope that we, as a United stand community, can be like this, and it spreads out further. In a team like Manchester United, when you're playing in the Europa League, you're playing in the Premier League, trying to get top 4, you cannot just have one striker. If we use Anthony Martial as the example, if you're Team Martial and you're slagging off Ronaldo, you're not Team Manchester United. And what I mean by that is Anthony Martial has always been one of my favourite players. I've been very critical of him over the last 2 years, because I think he'd be very critical of himself. But, it really pleases me that we might be seeing Martial stay in a Man United shirt and perform, because he's had a difficult time. And I like the player. He's one of the few players that over the last 5 years has got me on the edge of my seat at Manchester United. Those players are the players that I like, which is why I like Anthony. So Martial being back is great, but let's be honest, his form over the last 2 years has not been good. His injury record over the last year has been terrible. You need a Ronaldo on the bench. You need a second option. You need a rotational option. You need to protect Martial from fitness issues. And also, if he does get injured or drop out of form, you need somebody else. So it's not about Ronaldo's finished, let's start Martial. We need both those players to perform well, because we've only got 2 strikers. So for me, it's easy to say I'd start Martial against Everton and have Ronaldo on the bench, because if Martial gets injured, I'll bring Ronaldo on, and I want him to do well. Or if Martial doesn't play well, I'll bring Ronaldo on. And if Ronaldo plays well, Martial goes back to the bench. So for me, I just think it's... Martial for me starts against Everton, Ronaldo starts on the bench, but that doesn't mean that it stays like that for the next month. You've got injury, loss of form, rotation. We need 2 strikers, and we need them both playing well. And I think sometimes our fan base, specifically, goes on player FC thing. Oh, I'm Martial over Ronaldo. I'm Ronaldo over Martial. I, as a Man United fan, need them both. We need them both. 100% we need them both, because one striker ain't enough. Anthony's growing in confidence, was denied another worldie by a good goalie. I'm over the moon with that signing, says Charlie. I think he's a very exciting player. But just to add to that, Paul Scholes last night was saying that his favoured front three, and it's interesting, he would go with Rashford, Ronaldo and Martial. And I think, look, this is the brilliance of football, because we as fans, our opinion sometimes is better than an ex-legend of the football club. We know that. I mean, Roy Keane said he would have had Diego Simeone as manager. I mean, Simeone barely gets 45% possession and parks the bus. That's not a Man United manager. And that's Roy Keane, the greatest captain we've ever had. Probably my favourite player. You know, somebody that if I sat next to him, one of the few people in life that would silence me. You know, he's an amazing influence on my life in football. But he was wrong about Simeone, and I'm not scared to say it because he's not sat next to me. But I'm not scared to say it. He was wrong about Simeone, and it's humbling for us as fans to know that our opinions sometimes are better than legends of the club who've played the game. And on Scholes, again, absolute legend. What a footballer. But you can't play Rashford, Martial and Ronaldo as a front three because Martial or Rashford on the right-hand side is a complete and utter no-no. And Ronaldo off the wing's a no-no. You've got to play Antony. I can sort of see where he's coming from. Martial, Rashford and Ronaldo as a front three sounds good, but it wouldn't be balanced. I mean, Martial went very quiet. Martial, when he came on, played really well in the Bruno role. When he went out right and Fred came on and Antony came off, he was out the game. So for me, you can't play Martial, Rashford and Ronaldo as a front three because Martial and Rashford don't work off the right and Ronaldo doesn't work off the wing. So for me, yeah. And also, if you play Martial and Ronaldo from the start and they both play badly or they both get tired, who's the striker? You've got to have a striker option on the bench. So, yeah, I wouldn't go with that. But it's an interesting one, and some people might agree with Scholesy on it. But for me, I don't think it's a bad take. I think it's an interesting take. But for the reasons I've just said there, you know, you want a striker you want a striker option on the bench for the last half an hour. So for me, Martial or Ronaldo has to be on the bench. And also, I just don't think Martial or Rashford work well off the right-hand side. But it doesn't mean Ten Hag won't do it. Scholesy might be onto something. I don't know. But you know what? I'm quite happy with the front players at the moment. Rashford came on and responded, and he had Player of the Month last year, but he was dreadful in the derby, I admit. Martial came on and responded. Ronaldo looked sharper. Antony looks like he's getting better. And Sancho played badly, but he's going to get a huge kick up the arse that might actually make him a better player. Sometimes you've got to fall to be better. You know, sometimes if you think about it, if you're riding a horse, and that doesn't mean anything sexual, that's disgusting. I mean like horse riding. You're on a saddle, on a horse, you're riding the horse, and you think you're good at riding. You fall off, you hurt yourself, you realise why you've fallen off, you get back on, you learn from the falling, and you become a better horse rider for it. And I sort of feel like that can happen with Sancho. Maybe he thinks he's good enough. Maybe he thinks he's doing the right thing at Man United. He has a stinker where everyone has a pop at him. He sees it and makes sure it doesn't happen again. He becomes a much better player than he was before that bad performance. That's life. That's a life lesson. That is a life lesson, pure and simple. You can think you're good enough and you can coast. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. You make a mistake like that, everyone gets on your back. You learn from that mistake. When you get back in the team, you never make that mistake again, and therefore you're a better player for it. And I think that's a really harsh lesson, but I think Ten Hag is teaching it. He's taught it to Luke Shaw. He's taught it to Harry Maguire. He's taught it to Victor Lindelof. He's teaching McTominay about it now. Sancho, Malacia are about to get the same lesson. And one thing I will guarantee you, how many players have I named there? Shaw, Maguire, McTominay, Lindelof, Sancho, Malacia. So 6 players this season have had a harsh out of the team. You're dropped. If you want to come back in, you've got to work harder and be better. They won't be the last 6. Some would say maybe a Bruno needs it. Some would say maybe someone else needs it. There will be more, and that's what good managing. That's what good manager is. Managementship is all about. Just quickly, actually, just some headlines to go through, actually. It is a news show, of course, so let me just pop this up. This came out last night from the Daily Mail. Harry Maguire expected to return to training in 10 to 14 days and should play before the World Cup starts. This is a bit of a blow. This is a bit of a blow, you know. I mean, I know I personally think, look, Maguire's in the right place at the moment, sat on the Manchester United bench, but with Varane out, he would be very important to us. And there is a way back for Maguire. 100% there's a way back for Maguire. But if he's out for another 10, 14 days, we're on the 7th, right? So that means he'll be back on probably the 17th if we're lucky, no Maguire. So he's going to miss the Everton game. He's going to miss the Europa League game next week. He's going to miss the Newcastle game. And it'll be touch and go whether he's back for the Tottenham game on the 19th. So effectively, he might miss the Chelsea game as well. So he might only get back for Sheriff on Thursday the 27th. Maybe Chelsea on the weekend of the 22nd. Possibly back for the Spurs game. But obviously he's not first choice centre-back at the moment. So it's not good. That's not good news because he's not a first teamer at the moment. He's a backup centre-back. And why that's bad news is, obviously you want everyone to be fit, but if Varane picks up another injury, Lindelof worries me. If Martinez picks up a red card or something like that, I know some people don't rate Maguire, but remember he's not in the first team anyway. He is the backup option. If a backup option's out injured, we're very short if anything else happens to Varane or Maguire or Martinez. So hopefully Maguire's back soon. He will be back. It's just when he'll be back. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. This is from Rob Dawson. Man United are confident that Ronaldo will stay in January, mainly due to a lack of interest from top European clubs. This is bollocks, by the way. Not from Rob, but it's the way it's put out there. It's just such a sensationalist way of looking at it. It makes it look like no one wants Cristiano Ronaldo, which is the biggest load of nonsense in the world. Ronaldo, loads of clubs would want Ronaldo for two reasons, right? One of them's quite cynical, one of them's fair. Most clubs in the world would want Ronaldo because of the commercialism that comes with it. Juventus made millions when they first bought him, and so did United. So if you sign Ronaldo, whoever you are, you're going to make a lot of money. And every chairman likes that. So loads of clubs would want Ronaldo for money. I also think a lot of clubs would want Ronaldo as an option as a striker anyway. I don't think Ronaldo really expects to start every single game anymore. So there's a lot of clubs that would want Ronaldo. And there's a lot of clubs that wanted Ronaldo in the summer, as Roy Keane was on about. The reason that's true, but not the whole truth, is because Man United are confident of keeping him due to a lack of interest because Manchester United want a transfer fee. Now, that's the problem. If Ronaldo was available for free, there's loads of clubs who want him. Napoli wanted him in the summer. If Man United want 10 million, there's hardly any interest because people are like, oh, you want us to pay £10 million for Cristiano Ronaldo and pay him £500,000 a week. That's why there's a lack of interest. United want a fee, which they're entitled to have. They are entitled to have a fee. It's just a bad situation for Ronaldo because Man United are entitled to ask for a fee. No one wants to pay a fee because he's on big wages. So that's why there's an issue. United want a fee. Sources close to Manchester United insist it remains unclear how much of a market there would be for Ronaldo in January. There you go. So that's contradictory anyway. And then this is the most important thing. Ten Hag is very understanding of Ronaldo's situation, but would be reluctant to let him leave in January. He's already been told it is highly unlikely there will be money to spend until next summer, reducing the possibility that a replacement could be found. And this is where we spoke about this the other day. This is where it's such a difficult situation, and this is where there is sympathy. Ten Hag doesn't want to sell Ronaldo because he hasn't got a replacement. Ronaldo wants to go for numerous reasons, and United don't want to sell him. And you end up in this situation where you have to have a solution. I mean, I feel bored talking about this again. You have to have a solution, but what will the solution be? You cannot blame Ten Hag. I think if Ten Hag was told Ronaldo can go and you can get Gakpo in January, he'd do it. He would do it. But they won't get him Gakpo. So the people at fault are United, Glazers again, really, because Ten Hag would let Ronaldo go. Ronaldo wants to go. They get on. They're professional. They're working hard together. But Ten Hag is happy to let Ronaldo go, and Ronaldo wants to go. But Man United will not buy Ten Hag a replacement and will not let Ronaldo go. So it's a really difficult situation for Ten Hag to manage because he's got a good relationship with Ronaldo. There's a big respect there. He will let him go, but Man United won't. So you end up with Ronaldo in the middle who's like, I'm not happy. I want to go. Ten Hag understands it, but United won't let him go. So it's a really difficult situation for Ten Hag to manage over the next few months because he's trying to solve lots of other problems whilst also dealing with a player that he's not even starting, who is a massive, massive personality, who he understands and would let go, but the club won't buy him. And I think it just goes back to the same old thing, doesn't it? If we had owners like Chelsea have got now, or Man City or Liverpool, this would be dealt with in the summer. We should have just let Ronaldo go and brought in the replacement that Ten Hag wanted. United have created this problem, and this is why I get very defensive of Eric Ten Hag, because he's got so much on his plate, and United don't make it any easier. He's having to manage something that he's going to get asked about twice a week, and in every press conference he's going to get asked about Ronaldo. That's going to get him frustrated. Obviously Ronaldo's frustrated, and United just sit back and go, we're not buying you a striker till the summer, and we're not selling Ronaldo. And Ten Hag will be like, but logically, when I'm trying to rebuild a football club, why leave a player that doesn't want to be here, that I'm happy to move on, that we're amicably happy about that, but you're forcing him to stay, you're not letting me rebuild. It's just creating an issue that actually an ambitious football club would remove. But of course, a brand that's focused on money won't. And this is the problem at United. If we were run properly, this Ronaldo situation would have been dealt with amicably in the summer. Ronaldo would have moved, we'd have got a replacement, and everybody would have been happy without the toxicity. We now end up in a situation where, look, Ronaldo's being very professional, you can see it. Ten Hag's being very professional, you can see it. They get on, you can see it, but both want to part ways. You know, professionally, happily. And United are going, no. Why are United going no? Because it's about money again, isn't it? Why would United not let Ronaldo go in January and get Ten Hag a replacement? There's 3 or 4 replacements we can get in January, and there's loads of options for Ronaldo. So why would we not let that happen? Because it's about money again, isn't it? It's about the Glazers going, we can't afford that to happen and we're not going to buy a replacement. It simply comes down to bad ownership again. And sometimes you have to take a few minutes to dissect it, because on a footballing level, Ten Hag likes Ronaldo and is happy for him to go. Ronaldo likes Ten Hag and wants to go. You part ways, thank you very much, enjoy the rest of your careers. But the club is stopping that because they're focused on money, saying, no, we can't afford a striker and we're not selling Ronaldo. And that's just a money thing, isn't it? It's just a money thing again. So, yeah, it's frustrating because it will get asked time and time again. And it's got nothing to do with Ronaldo or Ten Hag. Glenn has just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Ants Football and DJ says TUSFC. If you're interested in TUSFC, don't miss this afternoon's episode, 3 o'clock on Twitch. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Is this true or just assumption, says Makish? It's true. It's true. Well, the stories are there, but it's true anyway. Like, it is true. United won't sell Ronaldo, even though Ten Hag would be open to that happening if he can get a replacement. But, you know, it all comes down to the fact that we've got owners who aren't the right owners for the football club, because all they're obsessed about is brands and making money. They're not interested in winning trophies on the pitch, because if they were, they'd let a manager manage a football club. But it doesn't mean that he can't. It doesn't mean he won't go in January. And you've got to also remember that there's an eagerness and an impatience in the modern person, not just the modern football fan, to resolve things now. Some people are already talking about signing a centre-back in the summer. We don't even know if we're going to buy a centre-back. We don't even know if there's a budget. Some people are talking about us getting Declan Rice in the summer. Some people are talking about, you know, Ronaldo needs to be sold now. You can't sell Ronaldo on the 7th of October. Kick him out. I mean, I'll never understand this, but it's the world. You know, everyone's got a different opinion. I know people in this chat. I know a lot of people on Twitter who are United fans, who some of the things they've said about Ronaldo last night really makes me question how they can call themselves a United fan. It doesn't make any sense. A player can be finished, but remember who they are. Remember what they've done. Like, this is a player that, you know, we are what we are as a club. Manchester United is defined by its history. We've had tragedy in our football club. We've had major highs in our football club. We're nothing without our history. That's what makes Manchester United. And yet some people just want to, you know, abuse club legends because they're not the player they thought they were anymore. I mean, come on, you got to have a bit of class. But I think that there is an impatience, and whatever happens with the striker situation, we can't get one till January. We've got 11 games to play in the next month. Martial's not going to play every minute of those games. Ronaldo's the only other striker we've got. We need Ronaldo between now and January. If he goes in January and gets the move he wants and we get the replacement we want, I think everybody's happy. But in the short term, he ain't going anywhere. And we need him, and we need to support him. That's what we need to do. Let the haters hate, but we need to support him. We need Sancho to come back and play well. We need Maguire back fit as a backup. We need these players over the next few months. You can criticise them, of course you can, but we need them. Abusing them and saying, get out of my football club in October, what is that other than petulance? You're exposing yourself as being petulant. How are they leaving in October? And who are we getting as a replacement? We've not got a very deep squad as it is. Look at Delot. I'm glad Delot's playing well, because whether he's playing well or not, he's being picked. We don't have a right back. We literally do not have a right back. Wan-Bissaka's been injured all season. He's never even bloody played. Brandon Williams has been injured all season. He's never played. We don't have a right back. The club wouldn't buy a right back. There's no money to buy a right back. Well, you know, it's a good job Delot's playing well and fit, because we don't have a right back. So let's not act like we've got a squad that's brimming with options. It's not. It's a rebuild. It could be a slow rebuild, and we need to get behind the manager, and these players need to perform. And when they perform badly, it needs to be discussed. But we need to hope that they learn from that and come back and play better, because we don't have a deep squad, and we can't do anything with it, by the sounds of it, until next June. People talk about January, but it keeps coming out that there's no money in January. So these players are our players for the season, and we need them. Anyway, look, we've got the press conference reaction for Everton about 1:30. It won't be a very long press conference because he'll have done it after the game yesterday. Tune in at 1:30 for that. And I will speak to you all at 1:30 for the press conference reaction. Don't forget, we've got the Q&A tonight, 8 o'clock. Always love the Q&A. And please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner. We're getting very close to 1.5 million. 1.5 million, baby. The community's heading for it. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like. Thanks for everyone who's become a member. Big shout out to Glenn, who gifted 5 memberships as well. Legend Glenn in the chat. And TUSFC continues at 3 o'clock if you're interested in that. There's a twist. Don't miss it. Speak to you in a bit.